Imagine this. Your whole world just shatters in an instant. A sudden, terrifying health crisis. A life-changing choice delivered with, well, brutal honesty maybe. Or just indifference. And the cold reality hits. Sometimes betrayal cuts deeper than anything you could make up.
Yeah, it's intense stuff. We're diving into a story today where loyalty isn't just tested, it's basically torn to shreds.
Exactly. And family ties stretch right to the breaking point.
Yeah.
You see these echoes of past decisions just ripple through everything happening now.
Shaping a future nobody really saw coming.
Welcome, everyone, to The Deep Dive. Here, we take these really complex situations, especially the kind you find in gripping stories like the one today, and we break them down.
Yeah, we don't just skim the surface. We dig into the sources, the reviews, the plot points, the character studies to get at what's really driving these people.
Their hidden motivations, the fallout from their actions, sometimes totally unexpected.
Right.
And those underlying tensions, the painful stuff that makes a story stick with you.
Makes it compelling.
So today, we're zeroing in on some critical moments within a narrative. We're going to look really closely at how the choices characters make don't just lead to conflict. They actually ignite these huge, life-altering clashes.
And in doing that, you see the layers peel back. You get these deeper, sometimes uncomfortable truths about relationships. What holds them together.
Or what rips them apart. We'll hit the pivotal scenes, the surprising details, the shifting power dynamics in a specific storyline from the series INIMBA.
And the source we're leaning on today is this really insightful episode review. It focuses specifically on the drama from one single, absolutely packed day, July 8th, 2025.
One day, huh? Sounds like a pressure cooker.
Oh, definitely. And this review, it's not just a what happened. It's full of the character interactions, the twists, stuff that really makes you want to look closer, analyze it.
Okay.
What's really interesting is how the story, according to this review, uses this massive crisis, the central event, to basically expose the foundations, or maybe the lack of foundations, in these key relationships.
Right, forcing everyone, characters, and us viewers to face some pretty hard truths.
Exactly.
Okay, let's unpack that central event then, because like you said, it kicks everything off. We're talking about Thuminka's collapse, a devastating one.
Yeah, the review starts right there. Thumeka has a severe heart attack, and it's not just, a convenient plot point. It feels immediate life-threatening.
It hits you right away with the seriousness of it all, the suddenness.
That suddenness is key, narratively speaking. It throws you, the audience, straight into alarm mode. No slow burn, just raw, urgent crisis.
And it connects directly back to an emotional trigger, doesn't it? The review is very clear about this.
Unequivocally clear. The direct cause. Halek's final decision. Choosing Zaleka. And the reason he gives.
Wow.
What was the reason again?
Simply that they are still legally married. That's it. Delivered apparently with zero softness, just fact.
Oof, just like that.
And that piece of news, delivered that way, is described as the devastating blow. The thing that literally stopped her heart. It wasn't just bad news, it felt like annihilation for her. Devastating blow feels like an understatement. The review gives us this glimpse inside her head at that moment. It says it felt like her entire world was caving in, leaving her with no options.
Can you imagine the weight of that?
Seriously. The person you built a life with, the father of your kids, making this cold, legalistic choice that just obliterates your reality, your future, your worth even.
It speaks to this profound sense of betrayal. Yeah, total abandonment.
And her body just gives out. It's like the physical manifestation of that breaking point. The pain is too much.
And that raises a really interesting point for analysis, doesn't it? When someone's physical health directly mirrors their emotional state so intensely, her heart literally reacted to the pain of his words.
So what happens right after she collapses?
Well, the immediate aftermath just adds to the tragedy. It's Wa who finds her.
Oh, this son.
Yeah. And the kids, her young children, are there crying beside her. It's this heartbreaking image, right? It really drives home the impact on the innocent one.
Absolutely gut-wrenching.
And then, thankfully, swift action. Ambulance called immediately, rushed to the hospital. A real race against time.
Okay, and this is where the review brings in a really crucial detail, something objective, the medical side of things.
Exactly. The review really emphasizes this. Doctors confirm unequivocally it was a genuine heart attack.
A genuine one, not psychosomatic, not faked, real.
Real. And they go further. They specifically state no evidence of pills in her system. which is huge.
Why is that so significant?
Because it completely rules out any possibility of a suicide attempt. It removes all ambiguity about the cause being, well, linked to that devastating news.
Right. It anchors the reality of the situation. This is medically confirmed.
Absolutely. It's a baseline truth the narrative establishes, and this fact becomes incredibly important when you contrast it with how other characters react later, especially Slade.
Okay, so it sets up this undeniable reality of her suffering.
Precisely. It functions as, like, evidence against which we have to judge everyone else's behavior. The audience knows the truth, the medical truth, so when Holy starts denying it...
Ah, okay. It immediately puts his reaction in a very specific, very negative light. He's denying a confirmed fact.
Exactly. He's positioned against reality from the get-go.
So let's talk about Lath's reaction then, because the review calls it a shocking lack of empathy, even with this clear medical diagnosis.
It's chilling, honestly. A masterclass in denial, or perhaps just cruelty. The review says he flat out refuses to believe it's a heart attack.
He doesn't believe the doctors?
Apparently not. He doesn't just doubt it. He dismisses ithonga, calls her an actress and a performer simply seeking attention.
Wow. Seeking attention.
Right.
While having a confirmed heart attack.
It's incredibly callous, and this is where we really have to ask, what does this reveal about him? Is it self-preservation? He just can't face his role in this.
Or is it something darker? Just genuine lack of empathy. Maybe cruelty.
It could be either, or both. But the language, actress, performer, it's designed to delegitimize her pain entirely, to frame her genuine suffering as manipulative.
So he can wash his hands of it?
Pretty much. Distance himself completely from any responsibility. It definitely ramps up the drama. But more than that, it exposes this massive moral failing in him. He becomes the clear antagonist in this crisis.
And it's not like he keeps this disbelief to himself, right? He makes it public.
Oh, yeah. He states his position very bluntly right there in the hospital. The review quotes him, "I am happy with my wife, Zuleika. Ithonga is not my wife."
He says that while she's in critical condition, the mother of his children.
Right after her collapse. The lack of basic human decency is just staggering.
What does that say about the power dynamics he's trying to establish?
It's all about control, isn't it? He's reinforcing his choice, drawing lines in the sand for everyone, and crucially, trying to absolve himself.
By basically saying, she's not my problem anymore.
Exactly. Even though they have kids, a long history. He's trying to rewrite the narrative right then and there, define his new reality, his terms, emotionally discard her no matter the cost.
It's a power move.
Ugh.
A really cold one.
And his need for control doesn't stop there. Even in the middle of all this chaos, he gets angry.
Yeah, the review points out he gets furious when the children, who are obviously upset and confused, address him in a way he considers disrespectful.
See, that's telling, isn't it? His primary concern isn't his kid's emotional state, it's the perceived slight to his authority.
It's about his ego, his patriarchal role, even in a crisis.
Totally. It shows this inability or maybe unwillingness to actually process the emotional turmoil around him, especially from his own children. His focus is on maintaining his image, his dominance, not on comforting his family.
So Lade's digging in, focused on himself. Let's flip to the opposite reaction. Linkova, Ithonga's son.
Ah, yes, Linkova. His reaction is the polar opposite. The review says he's enraged by Lade's heartless behavior.
And it's not just teenage angst, right? It's presented as this fierce loyalty.
Deeply protective loyalty to his mother. It acts like a moral compass in the story, directly contrasting Lathe.
And he doesn't just feel angry, he acts on it. Confronts them.
Big time. He takes charge. Right there in the hospital, he confronts Lathe and Zuleika. Doesn't mince words, gives them a direct command.
Which is?
Get out.
Right.
Leave the hospital now. Just tells them to leave.
Wow. That's bold. Directly challenging his father and the woman he chose.
It's a huge moment. He steps up as protector and, yeah, openly defies his father's authority. It makes you wonder, what now for their relationship?
A line has definitely been crossed.
Eh.
He's not just a son anymore in that moment.
He's a guardian, fiercely protective.
And his support doesn't waver. He stays with her.
Absolutely. The review paints him as this lone figure showing unwavering support. He becomes the stable one, the ethical center in all that chaos.
He's carrying so much, isn't he? His mom's health, his dad's behavior.
An immense burden. He's grappling with her condition and his father's indifference, and rejecting that indifference outright makes him really sympathetic.
And shows the damage Lath's choices are doing to his own kids.
Definitely. He's forced into a role his father just abandoned.
And the stress spills over. Affects his own life, too. There's something about his girlfriend.
Yeah, the review mentions he gets this difficult call from his girlfriend, and she's also struggling to cope with all the drama unfolding.
So it's not contained. It's rippling outwards.
Exactly. It shows how Lath's decision creates this chain reaction of distress affecting a wider circle. It destabilizes more than just the immediate family.
And then on top of everything else Linkova is dealing with, he finds out something incredibly painful about his own past. His name.
Oh, that detail is brutal. He discovers the name Linkova, his name, was originally intended for a child Lath and Zaleka were supposed to have.
Not for him. He was like the second choice for the name.
Effectively, yeah. It reframes his whole identity. It's not just information, it casts him as a substitute, a placeholder.
That must deepen his resentment massively. Adds this layer of past neglect.
Absolutely. Imagine learning your name wasn't even meant for you. It explains so much about his current fierceness, his protectiveness of Thumeka, his animosity towards Lath. It's rooted in this feeling of being secondary, maybe even accidental.
Makes his defiance feel completely earned. Totally understandable.
Yeah.
Okay, so while Hlaith is cold and Linkova is fiercely loyal, where does Zaleka fit into this? She's more complex.
Much more complex. Unlike Lath, the review points out she shows a sense of guilt over Thumeka's condition. It calls it a more humane side.
So, a flicker of empathy. That immediately sets her apart from Hlaith.
It does, and it makes her harder to just label as the villain, but it raises questions, right? Is that guilt genuine empathy? Or is it more about the situation, the public scrutiny, maybe realizing the mess she's now a part of?
Good point. It humanizes her, but doesn't necessarily absolve her.
Exactly. It suggests she might have a capacity for reflection that Hlaith completely lacks, makes her trajectory less predictable.
But even with that guilt, she's not just passively accepting things. She's already clashing with Hlaith.
Right away, even though he just chose her, she's pushing back. The review mentions her telling him, "I am your wife, not your doormat."
So, asserting herself immediately. Drawing lines.
Yeah, it signals a power struggle from day one. She's not going to be submissive. It hints a future conflict big time. Their union might be legal, but it's clearly not harmonious.
Built on friction already?
And maybe on fundamentally mismatched personalities. The review highlights this.
How so?
It describes Zaleka as a strong, dominant woman, which clashes directly with Slaith's apparent desire for an obedient wife.
Oh, that's a pretty major crack in the foundation right there.
A huge one. It suggests the whole thing is built on his legal claim, maybe convenience, not actual compatibility or shared values. His ideal wife is the opposite of who she actually is.
That sounds like a recipe for disaster.
It's like a ticking time bomb the narrative plants right at the start. You're just waiting for it to go off. Their happily ever after seems doomed from the outset.
And adding to her challenges, she's got Linkova to deal with, who is openly hostile towards her.
Yep.
Openly disrespectful and disobedient is how the review puts it. So Zaleka's fighting battles on multiple fronts, a difficult new husband, and a stepson who clearly resents her presence and sides with his mother.
She's walked right into a conflict zone.
Inherited a whole fractured family dynamic. It makes her position really precarious.
Okay, let's talk about another family member re-entering the picture. Slaidni, Claif's other son.
Right, his estranged son. This is an interesting side plot. Slady comes back, approaches Hlaith, saying he wants to reconcile.
What does he say exactly?
The quote is, "I want to work with you. I will never betray you again." On the surface, it looks like a chance for Hlaith to mend a relationship, maybe find an ally.
A potential positive turn.
Potentially, but, and this is key, the review immediately throws doubt on it. It makes you question if his apology is genuine.
Ah, that classic narrative ambiguity. So we're meant to be suspicious.
Definitely, it keeps you guessing. Is this real remorse? Or is he being opportunistic?
Opportunistic how? Like seeing the chaos as a chance to get something? Exactly. Maybe access to Leif's money, his business, his influence. Or maybe leverage the situation somehow. It adds another layer of distrust and potential hidden agendas to the family mess.
So even a potential reconciliation is suspect. Nothing is straightforward here.
Nothing at all. It suggests Hele's problems run deep within his own family, even with those seemingly trying to get back in his good graces.
Speaking of hidden agendas and betrayal, Thandeka, Thumeka's supposed best friend.
Oh, Thandeka. The review is brutal about her, calls her a snake, a false friend who seems to take pleasure in Thumeka's suffering.
That's incredibly harsh. Betrayal from a friend, especially then, must be devastating.
It's insidious, isn't it? When you're already down, discovering that kind of duplicity from someone you trusted, it's a different kind of wound, hits your ability to trust anyone.
And the review reveals the extent of it. It wasn't just passive.
No, this is the kicker. It reveals she was aware of Leith's affair with Seleka all along, but never said a word to her friend.
She knew the whole time. And let Thumeka walk into this blind.
Exactly. It transforms her from just a bystander, maybe a gossip, into an active participant in Thumeka's downfall. Her silence was complicity.
Wow. That raises huge questions about friendship, loyalty.
And the ethics of withholding something that damaging, it suggests indifference or maybe even malice on Thandeka's part, allowing her friend to be blindsided like that.
It really drives home that idea that the worst betrayals often come from within your circle.
A painful lesson for Thumeka. And the reviewer offers some pretty direct advice about her, right?
Yes, very clear counsel. Thumeka must cut all ties with Thandeka the moment she recovers.
Which feels like more than just plot advice. It feels like a prescription for healing.
How so?
It suggests that real recovery for Thumeka isn't just physical, it has to be emotional and mental too. And that means cutting out the toxic people, the ones who contributed to her pain.
Shedding those unhealthy relationships is part of getting better.
Absolutely. It's a narrative statement about self-preservation. True healing requires purging the poison.
So as we wrap up this deep dive, let's circle back to that big question the reviewer leaves hanging. Are Sleith and Seleka truly meant to be?
Yeah, that's the core dilemma, isn't it? The ultimate question the story seems built around.
And the review strongly suggests probably not, citing all those cracks we talked about.
So many cracks right from the start. The personality clash, him wanting obedience, her being dominant, her immediate defiance, Linkova's resentment, a constant reminder of the past, and just the whole messy, ethically dubious way they got together.
The narrative seems to be screaming instabilities.
It's practically foreshadowing conflict, like this foundation is built on sand, folks.
So that rhetorical question, can they really have a happily ever after? Feels like the answer is embedded in it.
It seems almost narratively impossible, doesn't it? The review poses it to us, the viewers, inviting us to think about it.
And what does it suggest? About relationships built on, well, not love or respect.
That's the takeaway, I think. What happens when relationships are built on convenience, legal technicalities, control, betrayal? The story seems to argue pretty powerfully that those foundations just aren't stable. They're destined for more conflict, not peace.
It's a cautionary tale woven into their supposed fresh start.
Definitely.
So, recapping our dive today,
Yeah.
we saw the devastating ripple effects of one man's choice, how crisis reveals true character, exposes those relationship flaws, and we navigated this complex web of family ties, loyalty, and betrayal.
And hopefully this breakdown gave you, our listeners, a shortcut. Some of those aha moments about why these characters do what they do, and a fresh angle on how their choices drive everything.
Exactly. And as you think more about this story, here's something to chew on. Given Leith's incredibly selfish actions and all the layers of betrayal we uncovered, what does this whole narrative really say about the foundations of family, of trust, and maybe how terrifyingly fast can those foundations crumble when self-interest just completely takes over?
That's a heavy thought to end on, but a crucial one.
It is. Thank you for joining us on this deep dive into INIMBA Mzansi. We hope it gave you plenty to consider about the complexities of human connection.